A major political shift has just taken place and it is already sending shockwaves across the entire United Kingdom. Just moments ago, the announcement many believed would come later this year arrived suddenly and without delay. The UK Parliament has been officially dissolved, clearing the path for a new general election. This is not a rumour, not speculation, but a confirmed and decisive move that will change the direction of the country in the coming weeks. The decision was delivered with urgency, signalling that the political landscape is entering a new and uncertain phase. The announcement was made directly from the highest level of government, confirming that the current Parliament has now reached its end. The Prime Minister has formally requested the dissolution and the monarch has granted the approval. This means that all members of Parliament have effectively lost their seats. Every position now stands open and the power to shape the next government returns to the public. For the first time in this parliamentary cycle, the nation is being called to choose who will lead, who will represent them, and what direction the country should move in next. The dissolution of Parliament is not a casual event. It is a constitutional action that marks the official start of a general election period. All legislative work stops immediately. Debates end, bills in progress are frozen. The country shifts from decision-making to decision-seeking. From this moment, political parties will not act as a government in authority, but as contenders in competition. Their task is now to persuade, convince, and rally the public behind their vision. The campaign season begins now, and it will be intense, fast-moving, and highly strategic. This announcement has arrived at a time when many political issues are already under heavy discussion. Topics such as rising living costs, national healthcare challenges, immigration policy, employment stability, international alliances and taxation are all expected to become key points of debate. The surprise timing of the dissolution suggests that the current leadership is seeking momentum or advantage, possibly hoping to act before opposition parties build greater support. However, the outcome remains wide open. Public sentiment can shift rapidly, especially when an election is called earlier than many expected. The sudden nature of the announcement means that many people are still reacting. Citizens, analysts, businesses, and global observers will be looking for immediate clarity. When is the election? What comes next? And how will the campaign shape the direction of the country? The next several days will be filled with statements, interviews, and strategic positioning from every major political figure. Parties will release messages aimed to capture trust and confidence. Leadership, policy direction, and future planning will become the central focus of national conversation. As of now, the key fact remains clear. The UK Parliament is dissolved. The government enters a transitional phase. A new election is approaching and the country will soon decide its next set of leaders. Every vote will hold weight. Every voice will matter. And every citizen will have the opportunity to influence the future course of the United Kingdom. This moment marks not just the end of a parliamentary term, but the opening of a defining chapter in the nation's political timeline. This decision did not come out of nowhere. The dissolution of Parliament and the announcement of a new general election are the result of rising pressure from multiple sides. For months, political discussions inside Westminster have grown tense. Public frustration has been building outside Parliament as well. Economic concerns, strained public services, leadership challenges and deep divisions across parties have all played a role in pushing the government toward this point. The timing may seem sudden, but the signs have been visible for some time. The country has been standing at a crossroads and the leadership has chosen to act now rather than wait. One of the strongest forces influencing this decision is the state of the economy. Many households are facing higher costs of living, while wages and opportunities have not risen at the same pace. People are struggling with energy bills, rent, fuel and food prices. When daily life becomes harder for large numbers of people, political pressure increases. Leaders know that public trust depends on results, and when results are not clearly seen, voters begin demanding change. This growing dissatisfaction has shaped the political atmosphere and made the call for an election more difficult to delay. Another major factor is internal party dynamics. Within the governing party itself, there have been debates and disagreements about the right direction for the country. Different members have voiced concerns over strategy, leadership decisions, and future planning. Some have pushed to move forward with reforms, while others have argued for slower change. This internal conflict weakens authority over time. When authority weakens, it becomes harder to pass laws, harder to maintain unity, and harder to appear confident to the public. The decision to dissolve Parliament may be seen as an attempt to restore legitimacy by asking the people directly for a renewed mandate. The opposition parties have also been gaining momentum. Poll numbers have shifted, speeches have intensified, and public gatherings have grown larger. Opposition leaders have been focusing on issues like healthcare access, education funding, and national infrastructure. Their message has reached many citizens who feel the current system has not supported them strongly enough. With the opposition increasingly visible and active, calling an election becomes a strategic calculation. The governing party may be hoping to act now, before public opinion shifts even more strongly in the direction of their rivals. There is also the broader global context, and the United Kingdom continues to navigate its position in international politics, trade, and security. Global events have added pressure to domestic policy making. Relations with allies, responses to international conflicts, and global market changes are all influencing national decision making. Governments must show stability and clear vision in these moments. If confidence in leadership appears uncertain, the countries standing on the world stage can be affected. The election announcement can be seen as an attempt to reset that confidence and present a united direction moving forward. Public reaction played a role as well. Citizens have been vocal through social platforms, community discussions, and public demonstrations. Concerns about public services, especially the healthcare system and education support, have dominated many conversations. When public voices grow loud enough, leaders cannot ignore them. This dissolution can be seen as a response to the rising demand for accountability, clarity, and change. Whether this action will satisfy that demand remains to be seen, but it clearly marks a turning point. All of these pressures, economic strain, political division, opposition resurgence, international challenges, and public discontent, have converged to create a moment where continuation without new public approval has become nearly impossible. The announcement of dissolution is the acknowledgement that the time has come for the people to decide the next chapter. Instead of allowing uncertainty to grow, the leadership has chosen to face it directly. The election now becomes the platform where every major issue will be debated, questioned, and judged by the public. This is not simply a political event. It is a test of trust, a test of leadership, a test of national direction, and the outcome will define the country's path for years to come. The moment Parliament is dissolved, the entire structure of government shifts into a transitional state. From now onward, members of Parliament no longer hold their seats. They are no longer representatives of their constituencies. Instead, they become candidates once again, preparing to compete in the upcoming election. This is a key part of the democratic process. No one continues to hold power automatically. Everyone must return to the public and earn support through votes. This ensures that the government remains accountable to the people at all times. With the dissolution, official government work comes to a stop. Laws that were being debated are paused. Bills that were still in progress will not continue unless they are reintroduced after the new parliament is formed. Committees stop meeting, parliamentary schedules close. The energy now moves from decision-making to campaigning. Political parties will begin hosting events, travelling across the country and speaking directly to communities. They will try to explain why their ideas are the best and why they should be the ones to shape the future of the United Kingdom. During this campaign period, leaders will attempt to gain the attention of the public by presenting plans, promises, reforms, and visions for the years ahead. Some will focus on economic recovery. Others will speak about improving healthcare and education. There will also be debates about immigration policy, employment security, national safety, and international cooperation. These topics are not just political concepts. They affect everyday life, family budgets, job opportunities, public services, and long-term stability. The campaign season becomes a time when citizens must listen, compare, question, and decide. The timeline is important. An election date will be announced and everything will now move rapidly toward that day. The United Kingdom does not wait long between the announcement of dissolution and the voting process. Campaigning must be focused, clear and strong. Parties will release their manifestos, which are documents that outline their plans and priorities. These manifestos will become central points for public discussion. People will examine them, analyse promises, question feasibility and look for real solutions instead of slogans. As this takes place, news channels, commentators, analysts and political experts will begin offering their interpretations and predictions. The discussions will appear everywhere: television, online platforms, newspapers, radio stations, podcasts and public forums. Some will claim they know which party is ahead. Others will warn that the situation can change at any moment. Election periods are unpredictable. Small events, strong speeches or public reactions can shift support quickly. Every statement from a leader becomes significant. Every public appearance carries weight. Every decision becomes part of the larger story. Meanwhile, government departments continue to operate, but only in a limited caretaker capacity. This means they manage essential functions such as national safety, health services and public administration. They do not make major new decisions or introduce new programs during the campaign period. The goal is to prevent any party from using government power to gain an unfair advantage during the election. This creates a neutral environment where the people's choice can be clear and free from influence. The nation in this moment that stands between two phases, one ending, the next still forming. For citizens, this is the time to observe closely. Campaigns are designed to persuade, and sometimes persuasion can be emotional rather than practical. That is why understanding the issues, comparing policies, and asking questions becomes crucial. Every vote holds equal value. Whether someone lives in a busy city or a quiet rural area, their voice matters the same. Elections are the moment when the public has direct power, power that can redefine leadership and direction. This period can feel uncertain, and uncertainty can create concern. But dissolution is part of the system that ensures democracy remains alive and functioning. It prevents power from becoming permanent. It reminds leaders that authority comes from the people, not from position alone. The next steps will be shaped by public choice, public judgment, and public participation. The nation now enters a phase of political campaigning, public conversations, and critical decision-making. The path forward will soon be written not by Parliament in session, but by the will of the voters. The news spread across the country like a sudden wave. City centres were buzzing, social media was full of reactions, and conversations in cafes, buses and living rooms all centred on one question: why now? Many people felt confused. Some believed the government had been under pressure for a long time, struggling with public opinion and economic challenges. Others said that dissolving Parliament was not just a political step, but a way to reset the entire direction of the nation. For regular people, it didn't matter which party was in power. What mattered was whether life would become easier. The rising cost of living, the pressure on the NHS, housing challenges and job stability were problems that most families face every day. And now, with a new election on the way, people wondered if any party could truly fix these issues. Many political experts said that this move would change everything for political leaders. When Parliament dissolves, every member of Parliament loses their seat. They must campaign again. They must earn the trust of the public all over. This is where things become intense. Campaigns will start across the UK, in London, Manchester, Birmingham, Leeds, Glasgow, Cardiff, Belfast, and every town in between. Politicians will be standing outside train stations, knocking on doors, visiting community halls, and appearing on television debates. Every handshake and every promise will now matter. News studios invited analysts who described this moment as a turning point. They said the UK was entering a new phase. Some analysts argued that the current government may have chosen this moment to call the election because they feel prepared. Others said the decision was forced, driven by declining support and internal pressure. But despite opinions, one thing was certain. The election will shape the next several years of the United Kingdom's future. Meanwhile, people on social media reacted in very different ways. Some celebrated, saying it was time for change. Others felt worried. Unsure of what the next government might do, there were humorous posts, serious debates, and emotional discussions. But beneath all of this was a shared feeling. Everyone knew something big was about to happen. At the same time, political parties began planning strategies. They prepared speeches, slogans, posters, and advertisements. Advisors worked behind the scenes, studying polls and testing messages. They asked themselves, what do people really want right now? Some believed that the public wanted strong economic management. Others believed the public wanted fairness, stability, and compassion. Each party would try to present itself as the answer to the nation's problems. But the most important part of all this was not the politicians or the analysts. It was the public, the voters. Because no matter how powerful a leader is, no matter how well crafted a campaign looks, the final decision will be made by ordinary people. People who go to work early in the morning, people who struggle to pay bills, people who want better education for their children, and people who simply hope for a better tomorrow. Every election is about the future, and now the future was suddenly open again. The question was no longer just who would win, but what direction the country would choose to go. Would the voters choose stability or change? Would they choose experience or new leadership? Would they vote with hope, frustration, or caution? This dissolved parliament marked the beginning of a journey that will shape the soul of the country. The countdown to election day had now begun, and every day from now on would be filled with speeches, promises, debates, and decisions. But beneath the politics, beneath the noise and headlines, one silent truth remained. The voice of the people would decide everything.